The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the producers and the individuals appearing on this program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the staff of the Sun Prairie Media Center, its members or underwriters, the board members of the Media Center Commission, Charter Communications, TDS Telecom, or the staff and elected officials of the City of Sun Prairie.
Hello there, and welcome to Real Reviews. My name is Jameson Rabbit, and the man seated next to me is working on an app that'll make you look like Chevy Chase. His name is Mike Roth.
Yeah, you read that wrong. It's Chubby Checker.
Oh,
Yes, it's
Okay.
it looks kind of familiar, but yeah, Chubby Checker. No one really talks about him too much anymore, probably because
One of the greats, right?
he's one of the greats. Yeah,
All time.
all time. Name me at least 10 songs.
Yeah,
I mean, you can.
that dude was twisting left and right, up and down.
He was.
Then he came back with the Fat Boys and said, "Let's twist again."
Yeah, he did it, and that's it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure
But I'm
is.
gonna make an app so everybody can look like him.
Good.
Because
Good.
yeah,
Because
Chubby-
that's a famous face. You see it, you go, "I know that guy."
I know that guy. That's Chubby Checker.
Guy's all about twisting. This week we have a few movies to talk about, and we'll see which ones are good and which ones aren't. You gotta stay tuned to find out with us. First one I have for us on the marquee this week. It's a film called Hustlers from director Lorene Scafaria. Stars Jennifer Lopez and Constance Wu. This is based on a true story and the magazine article detailing this true story. And Constance Wu stars as Destiny. Destiny is the shy new girl in the strip club who is kind of struggling to make ends meet, realizing that, even if she makes money here, everyone's got their hand out, taking the money back away from her, and she's just struggling to help support her mother and her child. And Ramona, played by Jennifer Lopez, is a legend in those parts. She has an innate ability to empty men's wallets, and she uses all of her assets in order to do so. And they, along with a couple of other girls in the club, come up with a scam to drug and rob clients of the strip club and whoever else they can find.
Yeah.
And as they succeed, they get more greedy. And as
Mhm.
you get more greedy, things start to fall apart. You make poor decisions sometimes
Yeah.
when greed is involved. The two other partners in this movie are Mercedes, played by Keke Palmer, and Annabelle, played by Lily Reinhardt. And then the story is also kind of narrated in portions, or it cuts back and forth to Constance Wu's character being interviewed by
Mhm.
Julia Stiles, who plays the
Yeah.
reporter who wrote the magazine
Which
article.
actually kind of surprised me. It's been a while since I've seen Julia Stiles.
Yeah? She's here and there.
Yeah, I think what was it? She was with Matt Damon and
The Jason Bourne movies.
yeah, Jason Bourne movies, and that's
Yeah.
the last time I've seen her.
No.
Now, she used to be a big thing.
In the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s.
And
10
then-
Things I Hate About You. Save the Last Dance. I'll keep talking.
Oh, you got me excited.
I
I'm
know
sorry.
I know I did.
Excuse me.
Careful now.
Holy cow.
So for my money, really, Constance Wu and J-Lo are the stars of this movie.
Yeah.
And I think this is the best I've seen Jennifer Lopez since Out of Sight,
Mhm.
which is one of her early movies.
Yeah, I really didn't have a good opinion of J-Lo's movies. This one, she did really well. Same
Yeah.
thing with Constance Wu. I think it was directed fantastic. It had kind of a Goodfellas type feel to it. I'm not going to actually compare
That's the
it
easy
to-
comparison everyone makes.
It is, but it partly is because I feel like the style was lifted.
I think it was purposefully, just
Yeah.
lifted, because I think it was very purposefully trying to mimic Goodfellas.
The only thing I really didn't like of this movie, I thought the pacing was good. I liked the storyline, just watching evil people do evil things. The
Mhm.
only thing I really didn't like is they tried to twist in a spin where they're kind of anti-heroes or vigilantes because they
Right.
are getting revenge for what the Wall Street people did to Wall Street.
Rationalizing these, toxic males who
Yeah.
think they're getting what they deserve.
Yeah, and that I didn't think was needed. We could watch a movie of bad people doing bad things and being entertained without having this whole thing of, well, maybe if it's potential manslaughter, and what they were doing could have been potential manslaughter on many occasions.
One of the big laugh notes in this movie is a guy not waking up after they drug him.
Yeah, and then they decide to do it again and again. This is what they victimized people. What they did was very evil. They shouldn't have been twisted as, oh, these are the good guys trying to get back at Wall Street. And Wall Street people during that time, it's almost like Nazis. You could kill off Nazis in any movie and it's all right. But the way they did it in this movie, it felt like someone saying, hey, we're going to kill all the Nazis, but just went to Germany and just killed German people instead.
Well, it's
because
they're greedy, so we can be greedy.
Well,
now you're them.
Yeah, and they didn't Robin Hood it. They didn't give it back to the community. And I don't think they did proper vetting either. It kind of felt like they were just using an excuse because the club was going down. They said, oh, it's going to be against Wall Street just to have a money grab that only purposed themselves. And it was random people. It was just wealthy people. It wasn't guaranteed Wall Street people.
Right.
So, and they explain that later when they're like, oh, you thought these guys were the vigilantes? Well, now things are getting heated. They're not that careful anymore. It's like, no, this was never good from the start. You could have just kept that revenge plot out of the deal.
That was my big issue with the movie, was that there's no realization in this movie that these are the bad guys too.
Yeah.
And they try and make you, like, oh no, they're good too. And you want to like them. Constance Wu is utterly likable.
Yeah.
I really enjoy her.
I'd like...
And, but there is zero realization that, like, no, these are actually terrible people too. And there's also some decisions and some motivations why some of these characters, Jennifer Lopez's character specifically, I'm thinking of, that kind of come out of nowhere to me. And like, wow, that's an odd turn for that character to make.
Yeah.
That's a character who's in control at all times, is suddenly out of control. I don't know. So yeah, I have been. It feels like every headline I read about this, and I don't read reviews before we talk about a movie, but it can't escape the like, oh, it's Goodfellas with these ladies.
Yeah.
I think that's really. Goodfellas is one of the great movies.
It is a great movie, and very wise of them to lift it
Sure.
because it was a great movie.
This just borrows a narrative setup.
Yeah.
To that.
And this is a lot better than how they lifted Dirty Rotten Scoundrels earlier this year, where they copied the whole movie, and they did something unique, something different. I like that style of storytelling. I really do, and I enjoyed the movie a lot, like a lot. It just was that revenge theme that kind of soured it for me. I don't care if they lifted it. I thought they lifted it well.
That's fair. I think the lifting was a little ham-fisted in a way to me, like the opening tracking shot. She borrowed the same opening tracking shot.
Yeah.
The same narrative of cutting back and Henry Hill talking over the top of it the same way Constance Wu was doing. So a lot of it felt like, okay, we're trying to have this. All we need is Joe Pesci in this movie.
I did like the humor part. You have that one of their team members, Annabelle.
Yeah.
She had that thing where every time she just got too nervous, she would throw up.
That was
I
actually
thought
really
that
good.
was hilarious.
And it didn't get old. Like, it was used like a perfect amount of times to me.
Yeah, it kind of broke up some of the seriousness.
Yeah.
And again, just like in Goodfellas, there's a lot of humorous scenes in the movie peppered about so that you don't get this drag through the movie. I liked the timing. I liked how it was set up a lot. I just don't like the victimizing and the revenge thing.
What did you end up giving Hustlers?
I gave it a 4. Over time, my score kind of went down in my head as I was thinking about how rotten it was that they were trying, that these people were being, close to death.
Yeah.
And they just made it seem like a revenge story. It's like these people did not deserve.
This guy deserves to die. I mean, he made money.
Yeah, he made money. He deserves to die, and he's not a victim. We're getting revenge.
Yeah.
That part could have been totally tossed out. But besides the moral conflict, I really liked the movie. I thought it was fun.
Nice. I gave it 3 out of 5.
Okay.
It was good. There were moments I liked. Wasn't groundbreaking or anything, but I enjoyed it.
No.
And I was really, the biggest thing is I was really surprised by Jennifer Lopez's acting in this.
Yeah.
She has been I'm not going out to see her movie. She had a movie that came out last year. I didn't even go see.
Well, she usually does these really kind of candy cookie
Really
cutter
awful
type.
rom-coms.
Yeah, awful. I like Constance Wu. I thought
She's
she
great.
was
She's been great
fantastic.
in a bunch of things in the last year.
Yeah.
And I'm digging it.
Hopefully we'll see more of her.
I think we will. What do we have next on the marquee, sir?
Well, this is the other movie that's playing, The Goldfinch. This is directed by John Crowley, based on a novel by Donna tart.
Thank you.
What we have is Theo Decker. He is a child who has constant tragedy after constant tragedy. His father is estranged. He's with his mother. A museum blows up, and then she dies. And then after that, it's going to foster family, going to find his father who is using him. A lot of drug use that, at the time, they're supposed to be funny, lighthearted, this is the happy moments type thing, but also seriously dark overshadow of what is about to come. It's all based around pretty much after this explosion happened, he picked up a painting, and that painting is a constant theme throughout the movie. This is a priceless painting that has gone through many, many tragedies in its own centuries of lifetime, and it just kind of feels like what happened to the painting is also what happened to this child as he grows into manhood. This is beautifully shot. I really enjoyed the acting. This is based on a book, so it is cut to shreds, and it feels like they took out just the tragic moments, and they didn't put enough time into showing some of these relationships he was having, because these relationships, even though they felt really good, I thought they had good chemistry and stuff, it was an impossible relationship in such a short amount of time. And I'm sure it's explained in the book, but in the movie, it felt way too rushed to have this lifelong relationship commitment to people it seems like he just met.
Yeah.
And that was weird.
So I agree. This is a beautiful movie. John Crowley made Brooklyn was his last movie, which I loved. Really gorgeous movie. It was Saoirse Ronan. This movie was, for my money, one of the dullest movies I've seen in a long time.
Really?
I was so bored watching this movie, and I think some of the acting was really bad. And
Really?
unfortunately, one of my favorite actors that is in this movie stood out as just awful to me, and that was Ansel Elgort, who plays
Really?
the older Theo.
Uh-huh.
I thought he was tragically bad in this movie. He was a wooden cutout of an actor in this movie. Oaks Figley, who played the young Theo, who probably takes up 2/3 of the movie, is the younger version. I thought he was really good.
Yeah.
I really liked him. He portrayed some emotion.
Yeah.
He felt like a well-rounded character. And then when they would cut, and the other thing I didn't like was they would just embed these flashbacks, and there was a lot of times it was hard to tell where we were in the story, in the timeline. But when we would cut to the adult version, I was like, oh, and here's can I be Ansel Elgort just being stone-faced, wooden, emotionless for a large chunk of his portrayal. I'm like, let's go back to the kid. He's doing things.
I actually liked him. I thought that stoic, reserved adult mixed in well.
But I didn't feel anything from him. I felt like I have to play stoic.
Yeah.
I have to be emotionless. I have to be monotone.
Yeah.
But you have to portray something. You have to give me something. It felt like there was no life to that character. And so there was a few characters in here I didn't care for. But the ones I did like, I liked Nicole Kidman. I thought she was good.
Okay.
As the friend's mom. I love Jeffrey Wright as Hobie, the guy this mysterious guy who he's got to deliver a ring to as a kid. I thought he was really good. I liked him.
Yeah.
But
the relationships, though, were way rushed.
Yeah,
These
absolutely.
Lifelong,
yeah,
it was just
100%.
weird.
Luke Wilson, who plays his dad, was atrocious to me. First of all, I don't think he's a good actor, Luke Wilson.
Okay.
But in this, he just felt like the wrong guy to me.
I liked Finn Wolfhard a lot.
Did you?
I thought
that was like he was doing a comical accent, Russian accent. Like he watched a bunch of Rocky and Bullwinkle, was like, yeah, I can play Russian.
Yep.
I know what Boris is. I saw a guy named Boris.
No, I liked his charisma, I guess.
I mean, he's hard to root against.
True.
I mean, we've seen him in so many things that we like him in, and he is a cool. I like him a lot.
For anything, that was the only relationship that I truly believed could have been more. Not as much as the point where he just kind of shows up at the end of the movie and he's like, "Hey, I'm going to risk my life for you."
And that's the thing is, like, this movie, I feel like it attempts to be like this Dickensian story of tragedy and youth and all this, but it's to me it was just more boring than anything. It felt like there was little rhyme or reason to what was going on, and the time jumps, and
the brain had to do a lot of filling in the blanks.
Yeah, and I just didn't. I felt like it's a 2.5-hour movie. I didn't feel like it earned the 2.5 hours. I felt like it wasted a lot of my time.
Okay.
And there could have been so many other things to fill that time. If I have to sit there for 2.5 hours, which not every movie has to be 2.5 hours, they could have filled some of those relationships in. I just felt like there was large swaths in the middle where I was like, you're kind of wasting a lot of my time here with this movie.
Yeah. At the same time, they took out a lot of pieces that were needed in order for you to be invested into the relationships.
And that's the problem. It was like, okay, so there's a lot of these characters that I kind of don't care about.
Yeah.
And now you're telling me I got to hang out with them for 2.5 hours.
Like the woman he ended up marrying.
Yeah.
Which, that whole scene, and it didn't take up much time, but the fact that it was in there in the first place, I couldn't figure out, because that was wonky, very wonky. The whole...
I thought that whole like montage at the end to try and wrap things up felt very like we got to piece things together quick.
I felt like they needed to wrap it up and also kind of wake people up at the same time.
Yeah.
But the whole idea that this was happening in the first place is so far-fetched that I couldn't.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy the imagery. I did like the acting. It was just really hard to believe all the things they wanted you to believe in this movie.
Yeah, like I say, I like Oakes Figley as the young Theo. I thought he was really good. I think he carried a lot of heavy guilt with him, and I just think that the film had a way of robbing that. Every time I started to feel that guilt that he carried, we would cut to Luke Wilson, or we would cut to Ansel, and I was like, okay, and I thought that that even some of the supporting actors I really liked, but it was just kind of the screenplay was kind of mucked up, in my opinion. And so, I don't think the movie was actively bad, but I do think that it was incredibly dull.
Okay.
Which kind of is reflective in my score.
It's kind of like bad if you're not interested in it.
Sometimes bad is almost better than
True.
dull, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes I'd rather hate watch a movie than feel like I'm just passively watching a movie.
Yeah.
Which is kind of how I felt with it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Neither here nor there. What did you end up giving The Goldfinch?
I gave it a 3. I did enjoy myself. I have a lot of complaints about it. If it was cleaned up a little bit, I definitely would have given it a bigger score.
Yeah, I gave it 2 stars. Like I say, it's not bad.
Yeah.
I just was bored by it, and unfortunately, this movie's going to lose a boatload of money.
Yeah. Did you have a lot of people in your theater?
I went on Tuesday night, which is $5 night, and even at that, 25 of us.
What time did you go?
7:35.
I went to the one right before you. Same kind of thing. I think there was 4 people in the theater.
Oh, wow.
For Tuesday night?
Yeah, it's rough. I believe it's going to lose $50 million, they're calling. So you're not getting that Goldfinch sequel you're asking for.
All right. That's all right.
Speaking of movies that never got their sequels, let's take a look back. We're going to go back in time for our Best in Show. This is our Best Picture winners of previous years, and we're going back to 1969. Oh, what a year. For a film called Midnight Cowboy from director John Schlesinger. This stars John Voight as Joe Buck. Joe Buck is a naive hustler who's traveling from Texas up to New York City to seek his fortune as a big old stud in New York. Boy, he's going to go to Times Square. He's going to go to 42nd Street, and the ladies are going to pay for Joe Buck to come around.
Yep, that didn't happen.
He finds out quickly that the city is much smarter than he is, and soon he's destitute after being hustled himself. Pretty much fresh off the bus, he's
like
getting hustled.
Everyone is hustling
Everyone's
him.
like, you got to pay me.
Yeah.
Okay, sure, So he's quickly destitute, and he meets a fellow hustler who scurries around the streets making ends meet. Ratso Rizzo, played by Dustin Hoffman. And this is kind of a legendary Hoffman role.
Yeah.
Just a terrific role. And Ratso shows him a New York that a lot of people don't get to see.
No, the parts that you're not supposed to because they're condemned, and you're supposed to have a home.
And what's interesting about this movie in particular is that we teased it last week on the show, but this movie was given an X rating when it came out in 1969. It pushed the limits of what people were prepared to see on screen, and actually they had to pull back. There were other scenes that were in this movie that they had to actually pull back because it was a little much. There was more blatant homosexuality in this movie. that they had to.
Was the film that, because we watched the same
Yes.
DVD, was that the full feature?
I don't think they actually released the other version. Like before
Oh.
they even put it out to the censors, I'd read they had to make some cut.
Hmm.
But even still, this movie got an X rating
Mhm.
and still won Best Picture. It didn't get an R rating until 1971.
Okay.
They finally said, okay, there's a stigma about an X-rated movie, and it
Mhm.
won't be played places, so
Yeah.
we'll make it an R rating. So this stands as the only film to ever win Best Picture with an X. The only film to ever be shown on network TV that was X-rated.
Well, on purpose.
Well, this
Yeah.
is true. There have been some piracy issues, but I'd never seen this movie before.
No,
I'd
neither
always
have
wanted
I.
to. This was one of those movies that was like a blind spot in my movie watching.
Yeah.
So I was really excited that we got to watch it, and I really enjoyed it. It shows a side of New York that doesn't exist anymore.
I saw a side of John Voight that I haven't seen.
Yeah.
His character was perfect, and I never portrayed him as someone who
We
could
know
be
him as like
this.
the curmudgeon almost. Like I started seeing John Voight, he was already in his 40s when I
Yeah.
started watching him.
But here he's a young man, a naive,
Good-looking guy.
good-looking guy, and he just played. I mean, he's not stupid. He's just really naive,
Yeah.
and he played that character so well. And Dustin Hoffman, and really, pretty much this is Rain Man.
He was so good.
But he was so good.
I mean, the physicality of him limping along and just you could feel like he's just greasy looking and just dude, this guy's a real dirtbag.
The only thing I didn't like about this movie that I thought could have been clipped out is all the acid-like
No, sure.
flashbacks.
Well, it was 1969.
It is, but I mean, you don't have to do the cliche in order to be great. And this was a great movie, and it has a great soundtrack. It's one frickin' song, and it's been stuck in my head for 3 days now.
Everybody's talking at me. Oh, Mike. So this movie obviously won Best Picture. It also won Best Director for Schlesinger, won Best Adapted Screenplay. Both actors, John Voight and Dustin Hoffman, were nominated for Best Lead Actor, which is kind of interesting that one would
Yeah.
not be supporting. They both were nominated for Best Lead. They lost to John Wayne in True Grit,
Oh.
which is interesting because he hated this movie with a passion
Okay.
because it portrayed a kind of a gay cowboy.
Yeah.
That ain't what cowboys are. In fact, they referenced John Wayne in this movie.
Yep, they did.
Where
Yep.
Dustin Hoffman's like, nobody's into that cowboy stuff, man. That's for the gay guys. And
And-
he's like, you calling John Wayne gay? I thought that was kind of funny. Then like he wins
and then
this.
he wins. Yeah.
But they lost to John Wayne in True Grit. Dustin Hoffman, of course, would go on a couple years later, and he would win best actor for Kramer versus Kramer, as well as Rain Man.
Yeah.
John Voight would win for Coming Home, so both of them end up getting their Oscars.
Yeah.
And interestingly, I'm reading about the Oscars with this movie. So the 1970 Oscars telecast, the Academy Awards, still to this day, the highest rated Academy Awards telecast of all time.
I would suppose if like the Oscars came out and they're like, okay, there's an X-rated movie that's going to be nominated for #1,
Yeah.
I guarantee more people would watch because they would be interested. They'd
Yeah.
be like, hey, that is something unusual,
It is.
extremely unusual.
That it is. This beat out for Best Picture that year. It beat out films Anne of the Thousand Days, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid,
That's a good one.
Hello Dolly, and Z. Those were the pictures that fell just short.
I don't think I've ever seen Z.
I haven't either,
Huh.
but I've seen some of the other ones. This is a good movie. I'm
It
very
is
glad
good.
that we got to do this one because this is kind of the reason we do this is that guarantee, hopefully, we get at least one great movie to watch each week.
And we're going to be watching another one next week that I've never seen.
We're gonna
before.
keep watching movies.
Yeah,
That's what
this
we
is
do.
fun. This is way funner than watching Ernest Goes to Camp.
No, come on. That's you know what? Its time will come.
It will.
Someday.
Yeah, that's like
It will
one
be
of those
appreciated.
1,000 years
someday.
from now, and that's the only thing that survives is Ernest Goes to Camp on DVD.
So next week, actually, let's take a look ahead at what's coming soon, the
Okay.
weekend of September 27th, sir. And we have 4 movies here on the list. The first one is one that you've been waiting for all year, Abominable.
I'm
You
looking
love
for-
Yeti movies.
This one looks especially beautiful.
Yeah.
And the every time the trailer goes, for some reason I just get all tight in the chest. and-
Really?
Yeah, it's
Are you going to get
crazy.
misty in this movie?
I might, if they keep
I'm
on
coming with
playing
you if
all
that-
that beautiful music and showing all those beautiful scenes, I might just be like, oh, it's so
Like
beautiful.
a blubbering mess and Abominable.
Yeah, probably.
There's an
It might
adult man
might
in this
happen.
child's
I am
movie
really
crying.
looking forward to this movie. I really am. I hope they don't let me down. I really do.
What are the odds? The next movie we have is Judy, the movie with Renee Zellweger starring as Judy Garland.
Yeah, that
This
looks
movie
very
looks tremendous.
interesting.
It looks like a very obvious Oscar bait movie,
Uh-huh.
and I hope it's not like Jackie was last year. Was that what it was called, Jackie?
Yeah.
Natalie Portman as Jackie
Yeah.
Kennedy. That movie looked like, oh yeah, this could give her the award. And then I saw the movie and I said, get that award away from her.
Yeah.
That was all in the trailer. But that looks interesting to me. We also have The Laundromat, Steven Soderbergh's new film. Stars Meryl Streep, Gary Oldman, a big cast of people, where she plays a widow chasing an insurance fraud that ends up taking her all the way to Panama. And these guys who are doing dangerous things.
Have I seen the trailers?
Probably not.
Okay. It's
Yeah.
a limited release, then.
I don't
isn't
know. We'll see.
it? This is the first I've heard of it.
Oh, interesting. And then the final one is our comedy of the week, Zeroville, directed by James Franco, starring James Franco, as well as Seth Rogen, Joey King, Megan Fox, Will Ferrell, Danny McBride, just tons and tons of people
Hate it already.
in this movie. And it's a different side of 1969 Hollywood than we saw earlier this summer, where James Franco is an actor who comes to Hollywood in 69, and it's more of the insane version. It's more of the fear and loathing side of a Hollywood than the Leo DiCaprio version of it. But he's trying to make it as an actor, and things get a little wonky.
His comedies,
I like this group together in the movie
End of the World.
End
Yeah.
the Days, or
Yeah, that was great.
yeah.
That
So
was
it's the
it.
same group, more or less.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful it's good. I mean, Franco, both Franco brothers are in this movie, but he did direct Disaster Artist.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
no,
so
that was good. That
he's
was
made a
really
good movie.
Yeah.
So I'm hopeful for this. It's a comedy, but we'll see.
All right.
Odds are it could be terrible though.
Well, he's throwing Seth Rogen. For some reason, I just
I like Seth
conjured.
Rogen. He's winning me over, man. Long Shot was a great movie. Go check out Long Shot in your Redbox right
Yeah,
now.
that movie about food that had sex all the time. That was great.
I don't remember that movie.
Yeah, you do.
I don't remember
That's
anything about
burned in your head. You know it's
that.
there.
I don't like to talk about that kind of stuff. All right. Before we leave, of course, we have to thank our sponsor, the Palace Cinema here in Sun Prairie. Marcus Theaters, thank you for sponsoring our program. We always appreciate that. I'm heading there tonight to go see one of the movies we'll be talking about next week.
And next time I see the Cheetos popcorn, I
Yes.
think I'm just going to buy it all.
Just get a bag.
Yeah,
just fill a garbage bag
fill
with
it up because it is so delicious. And apparently everybody knows about it.
Yeah.
And it's always gone. So if you see it,
Cheeto popcorn.
leave me some. Just leave me some. I'll be there.
You like the regular or the flaming hot?
I like the both really good.
They are.
Yeah.
I'm a flaming hot guy.
I can't choose. It's like
Here's my problem.
it's like loving your which child do you love?
Oh,
the
I got an
most?
answer for that. Off the air, I'll tell you. One of them's in the booth. Here's my problem. I take notes while I'm sitting in the movie. For most movies, I'll sit and jot notes because I have a not great memory. If I'm eating those flaming hot Cheetos, those notes are trashed. It's just a streak of red all over my paper
Yeah.
as I drag these Cheeto fingers across the page. That does not, and licking my fingers all the time, that doesn't help.
You ever wear a white tuxedo? And
The one time, and I got odd looks. I don't know. I like the, it's like old time going to the movies. You dress up, you put the tuxedo on. We're going out to the picture show.
I'm gonna start doing that more.
think you should.
Tails, top hat and tails.
Should we get Dumb and Dumber tuxedos?
Oh yeah, we should.
Ruffle shirts.
Yeah, and we go in.
I think that's a good idea.
Right, class the place up.
Really class it up. For sure.
We'll do it on a Tuesday.
Next week we have a streaming spotlight of the Between Two Ferns movie, which will be on Netflix.
Looking forward to
that quite a bit. We also have Stallone returning in Last Blood. We have Brad Pitt in the sci-fi film Ad Astra, as well as a Best in Show set on the high seas. Really looking forward to our discussion on that.
In. Yeah, I'm gonna watch that hopefully tonight.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
All right.
Either that or buy a car. I don't know.
That's this guy's life. Maybe I'll watch a movie, maybe I'll buy a car. It's that Real Reviews money that keeps them coming.
Tons.
Woo, you know it.
I
All
got
right.
100% raise here.
We'll find out next week what Mike decided to do. But you have to tune in to find out. But until that time, I'm Jameson.
I'm Mike Roth.
Thanks for watching.